So it is fair to say that Lando Norris is not having a good weekend so far in Azerbaijan, and it's also fair to say that the guy probably has more than a few bones to pick with the Alpine team. Both of their drivers causing him real problems during this weekend. I mean, if you guys have already seen my qualifying 5 things review, if you've not, of course, check it out. But if you have, you'll know that Lando Norris initially qualified all the way down in P17 in what is arguably the fastest car on the grid and what is inarguably one of the fastest cars on the grid. So how did this happen? What happened to Norris today to mean that he was one of the 5 slowest drivers in qualifying? Well, like I said, he's not had a good weekend when it comes to the Alpines. Now, there's a few things we need to talk about here. First of all, the first thing we need to talk about is track evolution. So basically, for the most part, I'm sure there might have been some drivers that did 1 run, maybe some that managed to do 3 runs. But in general, during qualifying 1, qualifying 2, and qualifying 3, every driver on the grid pretty much aims to do 2 timed laps. They set a so-called banker lap as their first one, where they go fast but not pushing 100%, and if they need to, they can go out and set a second time that is also very quick. Now, track evolution is basically how the pace of the track evolves. Now, there are a number of different factors when it comes to the overall grip of a circuit, but one of the biggest factors, especially when it comes to a street circuit such as Baku, where we're racing this weekend, is things like the overall grip. Now, you'll often hear people at the start of the weekend, or maybe even after something like a big rainstorm overnight, referring to the track as green. Now, what this means is basically there's not a lot of grip there, because as Formula 1 cars, and in the case of Baku, Formula 2 cars, or whichever different support series is running round, they lay down rubber as they go around. Now, obviously, you know about things like tyre wear, like the Pirelli tyres in Formula 1 and Formula 2, they wear down quite quickly. They're designed to do so. Now, because of that, it means that you get a lot of rubber laid down. You'll often see as well drivers doing things like laying down extra rubber, doing little burnouts and some quite big wheel spin events through their pit boxes just to make sure there's more grip there. And the same applies to the circuit itself. You'll see the difference between, that's why, for example, you'll see that the pole position is on the racing line, even if it's disadvantageous when it comes to whether it's on the inside or the outside of turn 1. So there's factors like that. So that basically meant that anybody who set a time lap first time around for the first 5-6 minutes of Q1, their time was no longer that great, even for a car as fast as Lando Norris. It meant that he had to go for a second run, and it also meant that second run was absolutely crucial to how he performed, really, how he ended up getting up there, because the whole timetable basically flipped, So it meant that Lando Norris went from being one of the fastest to one of the slowest. Now, unfortunately, like I said, the Alpines definitely played a part in this one. I've already spoke about Pierre Gasly and the incident when it comes to almost causing an incredibly horrific crash during practice. And again, check that out if you've not already. It's in the 5 things qualifying review practice review from Friday. But his teammate Esteban Ocon had an awful session today. He qualified last initially. He's only been brought up by his own teammate being disqualified from qualifying again. Done a video on that, check it out if you've not already. But yeah, Ocon had an awful session. He hit the wall somewhere in the mid-sector of the track. I think it was around turn 5 or something like that, going on the pictures that we saw. And because of that, he was slow. He actually made quite a bit. It wasn't like Verstappen where he just kissed the barrier. He actually made significant contact, might have done some damage that actually ended his session effectively. And because of that, he had to go slowly back to the pits. It's a long way to go back to Baku, back to the pits all the way around the track, basically, especially when you're going at slow speed. And because he was going at slow speed through that section, when Lando Norris was behind him, the yellow flags were thrown. Because of that, Lando Norris couldn't set a faster time. Now, he was setting personal best, not session topping times, but personal best times in Sector 1 and Sector 2. By the time he got to Sector 3, the yellow flags were out, and that meant he couldn't improve. Now, also, and I don't know if this is because the yellow flags were out and he got distracted or what, but he did actually run wide in that final braking zone, the exit of that, over the curb. So he says that he was fast enough easily to qualify out, get out of Q1 and get into Q2. Whether it would have been or not, we don't know. Probably would have been though, even with that mistake, but you never know because it is the longest flat down zone of the year, and if he goes over the curbs like that, that means that he's going to lose speed all down the straight. But because those yellow flags were out, if he set a time that was faster than his best, he may well have got a penalty from the stewards. And there we go. So that's basically why, guys. Blame Ocon is why. And also blame Norris because, yeah, he did go wide in that final, on the exit of that final braking zone. Turn 15, turn 16, whatever it is. So even if it wasn't there, I mean, like I said, I don't know if he went wide because of it. He's not said that. I've watched his interview. He's very downtrodden, he's very downbeat. He didn't blame anybody else other than himself, really. So whether he would have been good enough otherwise, we don't know. But that yellow flag meant that no matter what he did, he was never going to qualify. Unfortunately, get into the top 15, and so he lines up P16 because of Gasly being thrown out of qualifying despite initially qualifying in P17. So there we go, guys. I hope that answered your question. Lando Norris very much a uphill task tomorrow to even score points. It's not going to be easy. Where do you think he's going to end up though? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and of course keep it subscribed to the F1 Chronicle.com to see much more Formula 1 content just like this.